Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the big week for small business. Thank you so much for joining us for this breakout session, where I'm so excited to be presenting with my good friend, the founder and CEO of Goodr, Jasmine Crowe. We're going to be exploring how technology has helped power her business. Before we do that, just a couple housekeeping items. Please be sure to turn off your cameras and to mute your microphones, and please utilize the chat function so we can address any questions you have when Jasmine and I get to the Q&A portion of our session. With that, Jasmine, I'm so excited to hear from you how you've utilized technology and specifically some of the opportunities that our sponsor Dell has to help power your business. Jasmine, please take it away.
Thanks so much for having me, Todd. I appreciate everyone for joining in. I will say, I started Goodr in 2017, really organic start before I was feeding people that were experiencing hunger and homelessness on the streets of downtown Atlanta, where Goodr is based. And I saw an opportunity early on for technology to actually bring about social change. And I think that was really kind of the emergence of what would become Goodr. And I think technology has the power to not only change a lot of our businesses, but actually scale our businesses. So I'm excited to talk to you about that today, Todd.
Thanks, Jasmine. So would love to hear from you just from the start. When did your company get founded, and has Dell been a part and their technology has been a part of your journey from the very beginning?
Definitely. I mean, I don't want to age myself, but I have been using Dell since I was in college, actually, when I had a physical PC. And so Dell was actually the only laptop that I had when I was starting Goodr. So even though Dell as a partner wasn't part of the company at the time, Dell was part of my life, and so a real fabric and a foundation of what I built the company on. I started thinking about the idea for Goodr in 2016. When a video from one of my pop-up restaurants where I used to rent tables and chairs, linens, get flowers, and print out menus, one of those videos went viral on Facebook. And amongst the praise, people were saying, "This is so amazing. Which restaurants donate the food?" And the reality was nobody. I was couponing, price matching, going to 5 and 6 different stores, then cooking all of this food in my 1-bedroom apartment. Wow. So the idea was like, hey, if I could get this food donated, how much greater would my life become? And so that was when I started researching food waste and was really blown away with how much food goes to waste in this country while so many people go hungry. I started to, really to enter hackathons, design thinking sessions, go to open office hours. And I was really looking for people that could help me. And that's really where I think Dell first kind of came around as a potential partner for Goodr in the long term. When we opened our HQ in 2019, here where I am right now, I started thinking, okay, we need technology. My team was growing. We all needed laptops. We needed PCs at a receptionist desk. So it was really like, okay, which partner is going to be a good fit for Dell, for us? And that was Dell. And largely it was because their commitment to sustainability mirrored the commitment to sustainability that we set forth at Goodr, being a B Corp, being a zero waste company, and really wanting to work with partners that have the same mission as us.
Just a quick note, your backdrop is beautiful. HQ is beautiful. You've done a phenomenal job.
Right.
Obviously, 2020 has been a challenge for businesses that none of us could have expected at the start of the year. First, I hope you and all your employees and your community are doing as safe as possible, Jasmine. Could you talk to us a little bit about how the pandemic has required your business to pivot, and then maybe we can dive into how technology has helped you make that pivot?
Yeah, I think, I want to say to everybody that's listening and watching as well, I hope that your families are safe. I mean, this has been a crazy, I can't even believe I'm saying this, 7 months. I mean, it just is literally, I think, in Georgia, where Goodr's based, we went into a state of emergency. Everything kind of shut down, quarantine on March 13th. So literally today marks 7 months for us being in this pandemic. But we were I guess, fortunate, if you can say, to pivot our business, but we've never went out of business. And I think that was the thing that's been so exciting, because I was so worried, like I'm sure so many small businesses across the country, the owners were like, how is my business going to survive? Goodr's foundation was really built on recovering excess food from large scale business venues. So think stadiums, arenas, convention centers, hotels, airports, all which took a huge dive during the pandemic. And so I started thinking, how do we become a helper? How do we a business that can actually make sure that people have access to food during this time? And so we pivoted to actually who we started working with. One of our first big partnerships was with the Atlanta Public School District, where we began working with the school system to get all of the grab and go breakfasts and lunches that they were making on a daily basis and get those delivered directly to students, so that they didn't have to go without access to food while the school was closed and while there was no transportation. Technology played a huge role in that. We have the emergence of our pop-up grocery stores. We have a Goodr grocery drive-through where families never even have to leave their car. We have our XPS 13 2-in-1s on site. We're scanning QR codes. We're checking people in. There's very little interaction with people, but we're moving through so many families on a daily basis. Goodr is delivering about 56,000 meals a week. And that continues to grow. So on some weeks we may have 3 and 4 pop-ups, and then that number looks like 100,000 meals a week. So we're continuing to grow. Technology has allowed us to pivot quickly, even from things as simple as adding forms to our website, updating our website, sending text blasts to families. Little things have played a huge part in actually how we've grown.
Got it. For those, Jasmine, that aren't familiar like myself before I met you, can you give us just some of like the high level numbers when you talk about this and what is actually exists in our country? I think people will be blown away to know some of the numbers that you see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, right? I think that's the first thing I want to just warn everybody is the numbers are kind of startling. So we're talking about 72 billion pounds of perfectly good food that comes from consumer-facing businesses. So these are not even our households. If you talk about that number, the number is close to 161 billion pounds. Talking about the food that goes to waste at grocery stores, at restaurants, colleges, and universities. So enough food to actually end world hunger goes to waste. We spend about $218 billion a year, or the equivalent of almost 2% of GDP, on food that we never eat. And so why those numbers should startle all of us is that right now we have nearly 50 million Americans that go to bed every single night and wake up not knowing when and where their next meal is going to come from, while at the same time we have food going to waste. And so those are really big problems. They're problems we're looking to solve here at Goodr. And I will say that sadly, at the emergence of the pandemic, those numbers really were even a lot higher. So this year we're anticipating that more like 80 billion pounds of food will have went to waste in 2020, while more than 50 million people in the US would have went hungry. And just to give you guys a little picture, if food waste was a country, it would be the 3rd largest country in the world.
Wow.
So a lot of food goes to waste across the world.
Wow. What can folks watching our guests, is there anything that they can do to help the mission and the great cause that Goodr's doing, Jasmine?
Absolutely. I mean, Goodr right now is looking to connect more with cities. We're looking to connect with counties, government, school districts. We've really built some, I think, amazing programs throughout the city of Atlanta. We've also scaled our services throughout this pandemic. Goodr has been very active in cities like New Orleans, Los Angeles, West Palm Beach, Florida, Miami, Florida. We recently launched in Philadelphia and northern New Jersey. So we're really looking to grow. We're looking to get to Texas. We're looking to get to California. Throughout those states, we think that there's a lot of hunger, there's a lot of waste, and there's a lot of need. And so we believe that Goodr needs to be everywhere. If you want to refer people to us, feel free to shoot us an email at partnerships@goodr.co. You can visit our website, goodr.co, to learn more about us. But I always say just spread the word, follow us across social media, tell people about this company that's really trying to solve 2 critical problems. And we are solving hunger and addressing food waste in a way that's never been done before. And one of the things that I think everyday people can do is be open to the idea of change. Be open to the idea of being forward thinking and things being different than what we've seen in the past. We've done food food banks and canned food drives and you name it for many years, since many of us were in elementary. We're still doing those same things, yet expecting different results. And the reality is we've got to start solving hunger in different ways. And we're also really excited to bring technology to it.
Right. So you have mentioned, and thank you for all that. And for the folks watching, as Jasmine said, please reach out. You can utilize the chat bar for questions that you have that you'd like us to address. And then if there's any contact information that you'd like to receive in terms of how to help Goodr. But Jasmine, being a Dell Small Business Ambassador, and you mentioned some of the products that has helped powered your business, particularly the 2-in-1 laptop. Like, how have you trained yourself, your team, for those folks watching who are maybe a one-person business or larger ones that have a chief technology officer? What advice would you have as you scaled your business and how you've utilized Dell in that journey?
I think one of the greatest pieces of advice that I would give is to actually take advantage of all the resources that are available. Dell has small business advisors. There's all kind of tools and resources that are available on their website. Any product that you have, there's manuals. Learn them. I think that's the greatest thing to do. I think one of the things is when we started getting in, now we use 3 products primarily in the office. The XPS 13, 2-in-1 is one of them. And then we also have the XPS 13. We also have one of their PCs as well. But one of the things that we did is we sat with our product and tech team and made sure that they learned the products in and out, so that in the event something happened in the middle of the night, someone within our team had the willpower and the know-how to actually help us find a resolve. And we were able to do that with all of the resources that were already available to us online. And I think so many times that's something that we just miss out on. I go back to my journey when I was first starting Goodr. I knew nothing, very little about technology, very little about the business that I was stepping into, but I researched everything that I could, and I took advantage of free office hours. If there was someone that was willing to talk to me, that was going to help me find the tools that were going to help my business succeed, I was all ears and willing to take those meetings. And a lot of times we let those things go by. So if someone's offering you a free business advisor to help your business achieve its goals, take advantage of that. And, also there's a lot of perks around there. I mean, if you're a small business, not to tout a lot of different perks that Goodr has, but we also were American Express business card members. And so that was one of the other reasons why we really started to work with Dell's, because there were statement credits. There were things that actually helped us save money. When you're a small business, everything that you can save goes a long way.
I want, for those watching, Jasmine mentioned a couple of different products. Dell, through our partnership with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we actually have a website that you can go and visit. It's www.dell.com/USCC. Please be sure to reach out to that for some of the products that Jasmine had mentioned. I think, as a U.S. Chamber employee, we deal with businesses of all sizes and shapes. One of the things we hear from Dell all the time is that they're never too big for any size business. I think, Jasmine, just listening to you talk, I mean, you are a spirit of what that embodies. How would you recommend folks on the call reach out to Dell, and what has been your most easy, accessible way to connect with Dell?
Yeah, I think obviously, again, through this small business advisor, now we have been working with Dell so closely that we actually have emails of people. So a lot of times it's just via email or picking up the phone. And, as you build that relationship, I think that's going to come to a lot of small businesses. So again, please, please, please make sure that you reach out and really tell the world how much you love the products, and you'll be surprised. I saw someone ask in the chat box, like, how can I become a Dell small business ambassador? I would say get involved, know the products, love the products, and talk about the products. That's the best way to do it. And once you are really using Dell products, you're going to see, I mean, for me, obviously right now it's not the time, but when I used to travel full time, I would sometimes be traveling, 3 and 4 days out of the week. Having a laptop that weighed a pound in my tote bag was like a lifesaver to me. So that was something that I always talked about, and it just was genuine and it was authentic. And I think that is one of the reasons why I am a Dell Small Business Ambassador today, is because I've really used the products. My team uses the products, and we were really able to speak about how they've made our lives better.
Got it. Well, Jasmine and I will continue the conversation, but just a reminder for those attending, please utilize the chat bar. We have some questions coming in. So thank you for those who have already started to ask. Jasmine, as you think about the last 7 months and dealing with the pandemic, what have been Goodr's largest challenges and how have you all overcome those?
Yeah, I think, safety first and foremost was a very early challenge that we faced. I'm pretty sure the world remembers when hand sanitizers and masks were so hard to come by, right? And so we were delivering groceries to the most vulnerable population, our senior citizens at the time. So that was a huge challenge. And we had to start thinking about, okay, where do we get masks from? How do we source them? Being really resourceful. I think I was lucky that both my partner as well as my parents work in the healthcare system. So I was like, can you guys please get us masks? And we were able to kind of, learn who we get masks from. That was a huge challenge for about the first, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks of this pandemic shift. The other thing would be that we are working in a much more remote world now. We're not having a lot of face-to-face meetings. Everything is on Zoom or on Teams. And so, a lot of that has to change. And, how do you measure staff productivity when people are working at home? Those things start to really kind of shape how your business transforms. I wouldn't always call it a challenge, but they're opportunities for improvement is one of the things we like to use here. Also just growing. I think there's always challenges around fundraising, around driving new business and staying afloat. And I think any small business would say that those are the challenges that they face every single day. How do you grow revenue? How do you scale? How do you, bring in additional funding when times are hard for everybody?
Yeah. What does Goodr have as goals for Q4? I mean, how do you plan and how do you motivate your staff and how far advanced are you looking forward?
Yeah, I mean, we're already looking at Q4 of 2021. In all honesty, we've exceeded a lot of our goals that we set for 2020, other than our goal to be in 20 markets. Largely that was stalled just because of the pandemic and just the ability to actually go and launch in a lot of markets. However, we've done activations in about 15 markets this year. So we're on path there. Really, our goal is always just to maintain and overachieve in our mission, which is to feed more people and waste less food. Our largest goals right now surround on getting schools partners and getting food to children. We're also really looking at the holidays. We just know that these next 2 months are going to just be so critical. We are starting to see really the impacts of the pandemic, I would say, larger than most businesses do, because we deal with two customers, businesses that have food and people that need food. And so we are seeing tons and tons of emails, phone calls, really desperation from people coming in on a daily basis that are saying, I have no food in the house. I've got 4 kids in the house. Is there anything that you guys could do to help me? And so we really are charged with answering those calls and responding to those customers on a daily basis. And so we're challenged with getting more food partners, getting more businesses to join with us. But really excited about some of the things we're going to be doing through the rest of the year. We're looking at growth. How do we get to 20 other markets? How do we grow our team? We just now, we're hiring for 3 new full-time roles. We have a part-time staff of around 60. So we're continuing to just grow and I would say go with the punches.
I love that. Congratulations on the growth. I mean, as you map out your journey for growth, can you talk to us, Jasmine? How do you think of technology in that growth? Is it we're going to map out where we want to be, and then we know we have the support of Dell to help us get there? Is it a simultaneous of, okay, as we're growing, we have to think about what solutions we also have to help get us there? Help us just kind of understand that thought process, please.
That's a really great question, and it's very true. I think it's very simultaneous. We know by talking with Dell and our small business advisors what we're going to spend on technology as our headcount grows. All of that should be included in your financial model, in your financial plan. So if we're thinking about how much money we need to either raise in fundraising, how we need to get to profitability, what we need to make every month to stay afloat, all of these numbers matter. So for me, I'm looking at how many more salespeople I'm adding on, business development people that are coming in, operations. Everyone's going to need hardware. Everyone's going to need technology so that we can stay connected. And there are costs associated with that. So that's very, very critical to understanding how we grow and how we scale, and that we could stay connected across the globe as we get to be an international company, which is
NRG Arena. Priscilla, what's turnout been like?
Sorry, if you could put on mute. If you could please put on mute if you.
What's up? I want to put.
Thank you. And Jasmine, you mentioned hiring some new employees, which is awesome. Congratulations. Are they going to be remote because of the pandemic? Are they local in the Atlanta area? Talk to us about that. And if, obviously technology allows you now to think differently in terms of where you hire people, where they're working from. How has that changed over the last couple of months for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're really still committed to growing the economic opportunity here in the Atlanta. So a lot of our full-time employees are based in Atlanta. And we want to give back to the cities that we're largely in. As we get to new cities and we expand to those markets, we hire in those markets. So we just think it's really important to be a company that's based in a community that gives back to that community in a multitude of ways. So as we're looking at expanding, as I mentioned, to states including Texas, including California, we're going to be hiring people that are in those markets, that know those markets, that also have the passion. I think that's the big thing for us, Todd. If you are from a market and we're trying to end hunger in that market and reduce food waste in that market, there's almost like a triple bottom line in it for you. You know, you're earning money, but you're solving critical problems in your community. And so we really like to hire people that are based in the areas that we're serving.
It's just crazy
to work remotely. So, like right now at Goodr, we have a 2-3. So some people work 2 days in the office, 3 days remotely, or they work 3 days in the office, 2 days remotely. And some of us come every day in the office because we're doing so much, but we have 3 levels. So we're pretty, spread out. Right now, I'm probably the only person in 1,000 feet. So I feel really good about that. But we do hire people locally.
It's just great. I mean, to think when you started Goodr, where it is today, how technology has helped expand, and how more than ever, I don't want to speak for you, but folks are as connected as ever now, given everything that's happening. My hat goes off to you and the staff. Talk to us a bit more, like you as a technology expert. Have you always been like that? Is it something that you've just always had a knack for? How you continue to train and make sure you're on top of all the trends?
Yeah, I mean, calling me a technology expert is really just going to make my whole week. So thank you for that. I would say, I'm a technology enthusiast. I'm learning so much more on a daily basis. And I really try and make education part of my daily routine. So whether that is learning something, taking a webinar, watching a webinar, taking a class, like many of the people that are here today, trying to make sure that you're educating yourself. I mean, that is so critical to getting to the next step. So while I don't really consider myself an expert, what I do consider myself as someone who's working and learning and experiencing every single day. And I love to share that knowledge with other people. When I first started, as I always say, I'm not a technical founder. I thought I could build my app, the first version, for like $5,000. I thought it would be like building a website. I learned. I did the research, I took advantage of the resources. And so, I think the biggest thing that I could tell everybody is you could be just like me. You don't have to have a degree in computer science. You don't have to be a product manager. You don't have to have all of these fancy titles. What you have to do is just have the drive and the will to want to learn as much as you can about every product that you can use and every tool or technology that can help your business succeed.
And as a Dell small business ambassador, different small businesses that you interact, is there a common, I don't want to call it a mistake because I'm like you, I don't like using the word mistake. It's an opportunity for growth. But if, is there a common theme maybe that you see small businesses in different stages continually doing, where if you had some advice or if you could get in front of them prior to that, anything that you would say to folks just as they think technology and the opportunity it has on their business?
Yeah, I think, one common theme I always say is that too often I think we don't ask for help. We don't try and seek out mentorship, or we don't delegate enough. a lot of times small business owners and operators try and do everything on their own. And I was guilty of that. And so I thought at first it was just me. And as I started talking to more small businesses, I realized this is something that we all do. We think that we could do everything. And, we don't ask for help. We don't use the resources. You can have a small business advisor. You can have a coach and you'll never call them. Like those are the things that I think it's a common thread among small businesses, because we're doing so much. We're trying to juggle and balance, and we're trying to really keep afloat, that we never stop to think, who can help me succeed along this journey? And that's something that I think is a common thread across the board. We've got to do better at that. We've got to ask for help. We've got to delegate. We've got to take advantage of the resources that are available to us, so that we don't, lose ourselves trying to give everything that we have to our business.
Awesome. I know you've attended this summit before for many years. You've been a part of our Dream Big. Anything that any advice or anything that you can give those first-time attendees or folks that have come back from past summits, just in terms of what you've learned and how they can utilize the summit to help their business?
Yeah, I think, one, I always just like to give a huge congratulations to everyone that takes part in these sessions, because it really is the first step to dreaming big on your journey. I would say, try and meet people, try and follow up with those speakers that you heard from that really connected with you. Ask questions. If there's a way that someone can just give you a few tidbits of advice. I've made some really great connections, met some customers at some of the summits. Obviously, they were in person last year when I was attending, but I've spoke at the U.S. Chamber, I want to say, gosh, Todd, at least 4 or 5 times. So
Yep.
whether it's been your food summit or your small business summits, I've been really involved and have always loved what the Chamber does and the commitment that it has to small business and the partners that back you guys as well, like Dell. But I think the largest piece of advice I can give you guys is just know that you're taking a very critical first step into dreaming big. I always tell people, I started so small, a team of one bedroom apartment, feeding people out of my kitchen and on the streets. And, now to have a company that's nearly a team of 100 is just so crazy to me to think of, because we may have started in 2017, but we didn't even get our technology built into market until 2018. So we're really a 2-year-old company that just had a dream and that continued to talk about it and put it out there and seek advice and partnerships, and they did come to us.
I've heard your story several times, Jasmine, but it never gets old. So thank you. One of the parts that you mentioned, obviously we are in a much more virtual world now. Networking still remains very, very important for businesses, particularly businesses trying to grow. Have you learned any tips or tricks from a networking standpoint over the last couple of months? And obviously, if technology, has helped in that in any way, if you could please share.
Yeah, I think social media is a big opportunity right now. Although, sometimes I think people just get on LinkedIn and they just request everybody. Still be very intentional in the people that you're reaching out to. What is it that you can offer them and what is it they can offer you? When I was in graduate school getting my MBA, the WIFM was always a big thing. What's in it for me? That's what everybody. That's what you want to know when you're networking with someone, and that's what they want to know when they're networking with you. So be very intentional. Don't reach out to someone and just say, hey, I'm trying to grow my network, and you look like someone I want to be connected with. Hi, I have a small business that does X. You have a small business that does, Y, and together I think we can make Z happen. So really trying to be very intentional. Following trends on Twitter is a great thing. So if you are in, venture capital, for example, follow venture capital trends and tweets and get involved in those conversations. If there's a tweet going around about food waste or hunger, you best believe I'm talking about it and I'm sharing my learned experiences. And that is why I think people will look at me as a thought leader on these topics, not just because of a TED Talk or because of my business, but because I am out there for the world to see, talking about issues that I face on a daily basis. And that's what you got to be able to do as well. It's critical right now. And so many more people are spending time online. I think just since the start of the pandemic, I probably have grown, thousands of LinkedIn followers, thousands of Twitter followers, and a lot of it is just because more people are online right now.
Well, in full disclosure, I realized prior to us starting this session that we were not connected on LinkedIn. So I did request your connection right before this session started. So you will see that in your inbox.
We'll look through it.
Well, Jasmine, I've had so much fun. It's always a pleasure. I'd like to thank all the attendees for joining. As we mentioned in a couple different parts in the chat box, if you have any questions specifically on Dell products that can help power your business, please visit www.dell.com/USCC. If you have any specific questions for Jasmine, Goodr, or any follow-ups in ways that you could help, please be sure to reach out as well. We're so excited. Again, this is just the beginning of a week-long of information, tips, and insights for how we can help power your small business. So thank you all for joining us. Jasmine, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and a great rest of the week. Take care, everybody.